So far in the class, we've focused on how to create websites. This week, we're going to focus on some proper design elements. If we look at the website on the screen right now, we see that it has a bit of animation. It's got a nice layout. Color scheme throughout it is consistent. And if you started reading, you would read that the copy on the site is really well. If we go to the top, it's pretty easy to see where we would go. We could click on one, and we know this page is about Georgia's awards and honors. As you can see, the color scheme stays the same. There are some images. The images don't load at a bad speed. They load fairly quickly, which means that they've been optimized for the web. We can click on them and see George bigger. Now, it's great to have a beautifully designed website like that, but unfortunately, we don't always get that. A lot of times when we're first learning to design, we get something like this. Very flat. There might be items over top of one another. And as you can see, it's just not well done. The email link is up here. You can't really click on it. To read another page, there's no proper navigation. We go here. And as we can see, the backgrounds, the images are terribly done. So sites like this tend to turn users off. That's why this week will really work with web design. We'll start by focusing on who our target audience is to make sure we're writing and organizing our content for those who we actually anticipate being our users of our site. Then we'll go into website organization. If we looked at this page, we had to dig to find the About Us, and I don't even see a button that takes us back to home. Obviously, that's a problem. We'd like to have something more like Georgia's site where you have a proper navigation at the top. We've been working on this to this point. We'll also talk about designing for accessibility. Universal design is something that we favor because it allows any user using the web to read our websites. You need to remember when you're designing that not everyone has perfect vision or hearing, so it's important to design where a screen reader is able to read even your images and move across your screen, or someone with limited vision will have their screen reader to read it, or if you have a lot of audio, that somebody with limited hearing isn't going to lose something when visiting your site. You'll learn all about that when you learn about design to provide accessibility. We'll learn to write for the web. It's important that we organize our content. It's important to spell check. And it's important we use proper font, weight, size, and alignments. That's all stuff you'll learn. Then you'll learn about use of color. As you can see, color is not always a good thing. If we look at this website, there's so much of it. It's probably hard for you to read it. And back in here is the bad navigation. And as you can see, there's just so much color. We'll learn why that's not necessarily a good thing. If we go back to Georgia's site, we'll see that the colors are very consistent and have a warm feel. That's something we really want to talk about with web design. You'll learn about use of media and graphics, such as optimizing and making graphics a good size for your web page. If we look at these graphics and notice one's way over here, one's way over here, that tells me they had no experience understanding how graphic works when they created this page. It's important if you use graphics to use them in a way that's pleasing, not to fill a page like this. We'll also learn more about design considerations like time to load graphics. A really large graphic takes a lot of time to load. We'll learn about using white space. On a page like this where everything is just tight together, we've got poor use of white space, so we'll focus on that. We'll learn about navigation design, which takes us through all the different toolbars and why we don't hide our navigation like on a page like this, but we rather do it something like George's page here or maybe down the side. We'll learn about creating wireframes and page layouts. These are really important. In proper design, you always get a wireframe of what you're working on. Any designer who doesn't do a wireframe for the customer to approve is crazy. You want to make sure your customer has a visual idea what their project's going to look like before you ever go any forward. So make sure you focus on that. We're also going to learn about the 3 approaches for mobile design. Responsive design is pretty cool, so make sure you pay attention to that. And best practices checklist. All of this stuff will be covered in your book. We've covered the bits and pieces here, but you'll want to go ahead and read the chapter in the book. If you have any questions, let me know and I can give you a little more detail. Have a great week.